You can't trust it. So you're very welcome, and welcome to those who are watching the recording as well. It's great to have you here, and thank you for giving your time today. So yeah, in this webinar, I'm going to go over what the Academy course is all about, who we are, our mission, like what is the purpose of this program, and our unique way of bringing it out into the world, and then have a look at why you might train with us. It's important that you're doing your research. I love hearing that you're doing your research. It's really important when you're looking for a lengthy course, or if you're upskilling for your career, that you find the one that's a good fit for you. And so, yeah, who this is for, what exactly I and we can help you with regards to this body of work. We're going to have a little look at the curriculum, your outcome as well after the course, and the accreditation that's available, and then the course structure and the details, and then a little bit about the application process. Okay. So, hi, I'm Lisa, and Lisa de Jong. I am based here in Wicklow in Ireland. I'm actually moving to Dublin, unfortunately, Jenna, in a
Oh,
few,
further
so
away
a
from me.
little bit further north from you. Yeah, in a few weeks we're moving house. But I'm based in Ireland,
Oh, congrats.
and well, Wexford is actually one of my favorite counties. So
Oh, very good.
best beaches, yeah. Anyway, I came to this work because of, probably similar to a lot of you, my own experience with chronic pain. And when I was in school, I remember having to call my mum, because I had really, really, really bad period pain, and she had to come and collect me from school. And that was very, very difficult. And at the time, I went to the doctor, and there was very limited options in terms of what the medical system could actually help me with. And I went on the pill, went off the pill, went on the pill, went off the contraceptive pill. And, it masked the symptoms for some time, but it didn't get to the root of the issue. And it's a really long story, and I won't go into it all in detail now. But essentially, I then started to ask a lot of big questions from quite a young age. I was working in tech after college. I had a career, had a normal job, but I was doing all of this in the background and learning and taking all these different courses and getting really curious about, like, why are women not taught about the menstrual cycle? Why is it just taught that, how to manage your period and that pain is normal, or like take the pill, or very few options. And there was all this shame as well. And I also felt uncomfortable about even talking about it within my own family. And that was something that really got me curious too. So I went on this big long journey of both learning, but also personal, physical and emotional, spiritual healing. And then I started to bring this work out into the world, and because my friends were asking me to, and then it kind of started to grow and emerge, and then people wanted to work with me one to one and more workshops, etc. And then I could really see, gosh, there was such a need for this work, women were hungry for this work. It's just not available in schools. And even, working with my own counselor, my own therapist, they didn't have training in the menstrual cycle either. And I was like teaching my own therapist about endometriosis and the journey I was going through. And then I could see, okay, there was a gap here. And then eventually my own clients then wanted to learn how to bring this work to their own clients. And it's really exciting, teaching this work, bringing this work out into the world. But one of the gifts that it's given me, and that I see that it gives my own students, is that the biggest learner, the biggest student in the room is the teacher. So you yourself go on like a deeper healing journey when you actually teach this work and when you bring this work out into the world, because you create an even more intimate relationship with the material and with the content. And that's been a huge gift for me. And I see that now in my work with my own students. So that's really exciting. So I've developed the course is now the Menstrual Coach Academy, and our mission is to fill that gap for yoga teachers, physios, school teachers, or people who just want to learn for themselves and who want to really go on a kind of a deeper journey with this work, more than just reading a book. So that's our mission, is to support people in trauma-informed coaching skills and integrating this mind-body perspective with regards to the menstrual cycle. So your why might you be here, and what has brought you to this work? Because it's quite unusual work. It's not everywhere that people are talking about periods and the menstrual cycle. So maybe you have seen yourself gaps in the medical system. Maybe you yourself have experienced feeling dismissed or, told to take medications that you didn't feel like were enough for you, or the root cause of your issues were not really being taken seriously, or maybe you have friends who've had difficult experiences in that regard. Also, maybe you've seen the diversity of challenges that women face when it comes to the menstrual cycle. So there's all different types of issues people struggle with. There's period pain, endometriosis, now PMDD, PCOS, which is now renamed, um, heavy periods, perimenopausal challenges, burnout, etc. All these different like issues, and also the shame that young girls might feel when they get their first period, the confusion that they have, other issues like chronic pain that's linked to the menstrual cycle, or headaches, things like that. All these different ways that these issues can present. Just goes to show how important this work is. Maybe you've also experienced in your own experience the kind of like not great education in school, or growing up, you weren't really encouraged to think about your menstrual cycle as a positive thing, but rather maybe you were taught, oh, this is a problem that you have to endure for the rest of your life as a woman, and don't get pregnant, and all these kind of negative ways of thinking about the menstrual cycle. Maybe you've also recognized issues and gaps in the holistic world. I love holistic medicine and the wellness industry, but there can also be this side to it that puts pressure on women to spend a lot of money and take a load of supplements and do all these or maybe do very strict nutrition protocols that don't really bring them anywhere and that make them more stressed than anything. So you might have recognized other issues there. Maybe you see needs across different fields. So maybe you're working with women in your workspace, and there is a need for this conversation, across different sectors of different industries. Also, there could be people who come to the work that are already trained as a coach, trained as a life coach, or another type of coach, career coach. But again, this is a missing piece, and understanding that cyclical nature of the female experience and how that then, impacts our clients and our mental health, etc., and how we move through the world or move through work. So there could be missing pieces there in the coaching industry. And then also your own training, your own background, your own daily lived experience. Maybe you're like Jenna, you're speaking to women every single day in your work, and you're in the prime position to build trust and have the more vulnerable conversations with women. Or maybe there's people listening who are teachers and educators, and already they have other pieces that aren't necessarily linked to the menstrual cycle, but that they can merge, with the cycle. Like myself, I was a teacher at one point, then I worked in tech, and all these different pieces, when I look back of my career now, make sense, when I do this work, and they all bring a purpose to the work that I'm doing. And then lastly, of course, you're probably very passionate about this work because of personal reasons, or you feel a calling of some sort. Yeah, and it's hard to ignore that, there's like a purpose in this for you, a more spiritual element for you, maybe. So, um, coming back to the course then. So how is the course that we're doing in the academy structured? So um, we start with an orientation call. The orientation call is 2 hours, and that's just a time for everyone to meet each other, to briefly introduce yourselves, and it is a time for me to take you through the program and all the tech, and make sure you are able to orient yourself in the online space so that you're not like feeling left behind through the program. Um, then we have our monthly lectures. So they are on a Saturday, and from my time, which is in Ireland, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that's the time that kind of generally works for most time zones. Some people might be based in the US or in Australia or in other parts of the world, or there might be a month or two that you can't make it, and that's no problem because we record all of the lectures and you can catch up in your own time. Or if you miss a few hours at the start or at the end, it's really no problem. What I'm always emphasizing in this course is I want you to learn in a way that works with your daily life and with your capacity and with your energy. This is not about being the perfect student or ticking off all the things on the list. This is actually an embodied learning journey. So if you are needing to step out or you need to go off camera or you need to take a break or you want to catch up on the recording, I really encourage you to listen to that because while we're listening to our nervous system needs in the program, because it's exactly what I want you to be able to support your own clients with. So don't worry if there's like calls, you can't make every call. It's really no problem. And then we have the monthly process group. So the process groups are essentially the smaller groups that you join, and that's the time where we go into coaching practice, and it's less about a lecture and it's more about reflective practice and coaching practice and practicing the skills and discussion. And it's the time where the material comes to life and we really get to kind of get comfortable with the new skills that we're learning and practice on each other and do role plays, etc. So those are also recorded. I do encourage you to come to as many of those as you can live, but they are recorded for similar reasons as I just explained. And then we have the monthly office hour. So that's just an hour in my diary. If you have any questions or you want to come and do a meditation with me, that's there as well. And that's just optional. And then we have online content with additional, like an online classroom with all the recordings and additional guest classes in there. We have the online community space where you can connect with each other. And then you also get assigned with a listening partner throughout the program. Now, again, that's optional. I do encourage it, but it is a good thing to have is like a study buddy throughout the course. And then you have access to doing a peer coaching session with me as well. And then there's worksheets and exercises. And towards the end of the program, you then have the option to be certified and accredited. And you don't have to decide whether you want to do that until the end of the program. I'm going to explain in a minute what I mean by that, but that's there for you. So in terms of the commitment, it's about 8 to 12 hours per month or so. And it really, like I said, it really depends on you and your life. Some people are on the calls live and other people are catching up and they don't feel like they've missed out because it's all there. Okay. So really, I know that's a long list, but really what you just need to remember is lecture days once a month and a process group once a month. And you pick your own process group at the time that works for you. And that's how it works. And there's lots of spaciousness built into the program for your own reflections and for kind of things to land and to sort of be with the material while you move through your life. Okay. So essentially the three pillars of the program, we have the content, which is the science, the education, the information. And we have process and integration. So that's where we're reflecting on the material, noticing our feelings, questions that are coming up, challenges maybe that arise. And then we focus on building a practice. So that's where we're supporting you to understand, okay, now that you know this information, how do you then bring it into a coaching relationship? And how do you create a practice or a new service into your workplace or, bring it into schools or whatever it is that you're planning to do? So that's what we're here for. You can have a look at this on our website, but just to note our values that are important to me. So presence, and these are the values that I try and bring into the course, but also values that we're working with when we're thinking about our clients as well. So presence is really, really important, because in the world of the menstrual cycle, even though the menstrual cycle is being talked about a lot more in the public domain and in the media, a lot of it is focused on research and science and here's the information and here's the data. And while I love all that stuff, it's really important. The missing piece is the being with the unknown, being with the uncertainty, being with the client's journey, being with the messiness of their reality and with their fear and their urgency. And for your clients to feel like you're able to hold that space for them is really, really important rather than just trying to like fix a problem. And that's a really missing piece I see in this space. And when we bring our full presence to the work, I actually see the best results actually come through that rather than just kind of like looking for answers and solutions for clients. Curiosity is linked to presence. When we're working with curiosity, we allow for that unknown to be there and really listening. Focusing on building trust as well with our clients is very important because this topic is so personal and can be so vulnerable and there can be a lot of trauma in the room when we're working with people. So the trust piece is very important. generosity with our presence, with our knowledge, balance, a balance of the masculine, the feminine, the information versus the presence. We're working with that. And then, of course, integrity as well. So our classroom model, is, a lot of us are used to going to school or university where we have information just being kind of poured on you, and then you have to remember it and then regurgitate it. And that can be, beneficial depending on the topic. But in this work, what we're really trying to do is center our clients and center the students and center listening to women. Okay, so with that said, even though I am teaching the lectures and facilitating the space, the what's so lovely about the students that we draw into the academy is that everyone comes from very, very different backgrounds in terms of career, experience, age, identity, ethnicity, etc. And because of that, there's so much diversity and wisdom in the room that I really like to create a lot of space for people to contribute and to share their experiences, their stories, their opinions, the things they know that I don't know about. And that makes for a really lovely, rich learning environment. So it's more of a bottom-up approach to learning and a shared collaborative approach to learning rather than just me talking at you for 8 hours. So yeah, so that's kind of the approach we have. Even though, yes, I do lecture, but then there's a lot of space for this shared collaboration and embodiment, which makes for a really unique experience every year. And then with regards to the content as well, it's a very intersectional approach. So we're not just only working with hormones, or we're not only just working with the seasons of the cycle, even though that's such a powerful lesson. We're working with lots of different pieces of the puzzle. So we're also working with neuroscience. So that the nervous system is a big part of the work. We're looking at psychology through the lens of the menstrual cycle. Pain science is a big one. So that's the piece where, if someone has had endometriosis for years and years and years and or PMDD for years, then we can be very primed for expecting pain before it's there. And even the fear and the expectation, I can see you all nodding your heads. I can really relate to that too. It like almost sets us up for pain, and it's so hard to get out of that and
Mhm.
to be in our bodies when we don't have pain, right? So yeah, we do a big piece of work on that in the program. And we look at diet, blood sugar stuff, group dynamics is a big one, power relationships, all these different pieces of the puzzle. Coaching skills is another really, really big piece as well. Trauma-informed coaching skills. So it's a very intersectional curriculum. And also in the classroom, there is a reading list, which I really love because I don't tell you what books you should read. The list is there for you to go and look at and do your window shopping and then pick a book or two that really works for you. And then those can be the books that you then read in the program while you go on this learning journey. What we don't teach complex nutrition and dietary plans or functional medicine. So we're not going to be teaching you how to do hormone testing because that's all available and out there in the world. So your clients can find that. We don't teach complex endocrinology or the fertility awareness method. So that's the using the fertility awareness for contraception or family planning. And then obviously we don't give medical advice. Having said that, we do what we instead of giving medical advice, because we're obviously not doctors here, we support a client. We learn how to coach and support a client through the journey within the medical system. So we're not here to reject the medical system, but rather we're here to support the client in their decisions, in their agency, in figuring out what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and how to find their voice. I know what it feels like to go into the doctor's office and be sitting nervous in the waiting room and kind of like writing notes on my phone to make sure I have all my questions. So, because when you leave, sometimes you're so nervous about going to the doctor that you forget what to say or what to ask for. So it's about that supporting clients to feel, especially if they're going through something big like a surgery or endometriosis investigation, it can be very traumatic. So we're here to help our clients with feeling empowered in that. Um, So yeah, what we do help you with is the how to when it comes to menstrual cycle education and coaching, how to take your clients from A, which is their place they're in now, to B, the place they want to get to. So I like to see it as two buckets. So it could be you're working with people who struggle with their cycle in some way, and you want to support them with building a new relationship with their cycle and their nervous system to allow more healing in their system. Or the second type of client is the client who they might not necessarily have a problem, but they are curious about the cycle and they want to learn about how better to be in relationship with their cycle, or how to manage their energy. Or sometimes we get like clients who are athletes and they want to learn how to work with their cycle in a different way. Or even teachers want to learn how to bring this work into classrooms as well. So there's different ways that you can work with different types of clients. We support you with how to work holistically with pain and symptoms, how to hold a trauma-informed space and do that confidently. There's lots of skills and tools that we're working with. So even though we are working with the kind of the mystical and the coaching relationship with a client, there's also a lot of practical skills and tools we're working with. And then my goal for you is to feel confident, working with people, holding these conversations, holding the space, and having clarity around what your role is and what your role isn't. Working with fear and urgency, because that's really common. And then trauma-informed business and marketing, something I'm really passionate about, is then how, okay, you learn this stuff, then how do you make a business or sell your work or promote your work, etc., in a way that feels good for you. We do mindset work, and then also critical analysis is important. So yeah, like thinking about what's missing in your work or what's missing that you can learn about and bring in to support the people that you're helping. So why train with us? Like I said already, it's such a diverse classroom. It's such a lovely place to be. There isn't sort of the sameness in the room, and because of that, we're not comparing ourselves to each other. We're learning from each other. There's just so much vibrancy in the classroom and in our body of work as well. I'm really proud of the fact that it is non-biased and intersectional, and we're very open-minded about different modalities, different things that work for people. Um, as well, this balance of we're working with content and information, but we're also shining a big light on the process, the journey the client goes through, the how do we get them the transformation. Sometimes I work with clients who've read all the books, maybe they've read more books than me and they've listened to all the podcasts and they know more science than me, but they still struggle. And so that's kind of my passion, is helping them with the relational piece, the embodiment piece. And that's where coaching skills can be so powerful for that. So it's very practice. When I say practice, I mean like the work you bring to people. That's your practice. It's very practice centered training. And then we obviously, like I said, we're working with trauma informed practice and business. So we're not like pushing on pain points or, you know, creating false urgency for people. So we have a very aligned coaching skills. The classroom is a very nourishing learning experience. Like I said, if you need to miss a class or if you're not feeling great that day, a lot of people come into the program with their own, issues with their cycle, or they have chronic pain themselves. So we try to make a very inclusive environment for all different types of experiences with the body. So I like for us to think about learning being nourishing, and it's a very supportive community. So one of the reasons I like to teach this live is because then you all get to actually speak with each other and build those connections and get to know each other and learn from each other. And that's such a valuable part of the learning experience. And then because of that, there's a lot of long lasting relationships in the program and after the program, which is really great to see. And then there's an opportunity as well for you to join the professionals community and get supervision with me and in the group that we have after the course ends. So I've kind of already looked at this, but it's essentially the curriculum we're looking at. The four main pillars are hormones and the endocrine system, menstrual cycle awareness, so that's the inner seasons of the cycle, the nervous system and polyvagal, and then trauma being part of that, and then the fourth pillar being pain science and the neuroplasticity piece. Those are the four main pillars, and then under that we're working with something called the Celtic cycle, so the more energetic sort of ways of working with the cycle and the energies underneath the cycle, the inner critic. We're looking at creativity, mental health and psychology, also relationships, are a big factor when we're working with our clients with regards to how they relate to themselves and their own energy and boundaries and burnout and all that. Relationships are a huge piece. And then we have something called the cycle coaching framework, which is a framework that then you will be equipped to work with, and it'll help you navigate, how to ask powerful questions and what questions to ask your clients and where to take the session or where to take the group when you're working with groups. Um, and then we have guest classes and lots of other things in the program. So yeah, we specialize really in supporting you to feel comfortable and empowered in your coaching relationship with the clients and groups. We can know a lot about the cycle, but actually teaching this work and coaching it's a very different thing. And it can be quite nerve-wracking, like not knowing where a session is going to go or what your client might ask you. So I don't want you to feel like caught off guard or out of your depth with a client. So that's what we're here to support you with. And I'll just give you an example. So, we as a practitioner or a coach, we really want to help our client. We're passionate about this topic. We're looking for the right information. Maybe we're looking for the right course, and we might be kind of a bit feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome if we do start working with clients. We have our personal lived experience and we know the value of this work. And then our client and people who are struggling with whatever it is, their cycle or, a group, they're looking for help. And there can be a lot of fear, a lot of urgency, anger as well. And they might have some difficulty trusting because they've been let down by the medical system or in other areas, etc. Okay, so there can be these like feelings that are happening, and what can happen is that can create confusion, overwhelm. Maybe our client is blaming themselves for not doing their nutrition plan correctly and they're still getting symptoms, etc. Or in some cases they can be very dysregulated and we can feel that pressure to fix our client. Okay, this is what can happen in menstrual cycle coaching. So I see all the time. Whereas what's actually needed is instead of going into kind of fixing and this urgency and needing all the exact answers, we try and put the focus on not looking for the magic solution, but put the focus on the relationship we build with the client as the healing vehicle. Okay. So collaboration, clarity on roles, co-regulation. So bringing our own regulated nervous system to the space, supporting a client with being okay with uncertainty and the fear and all the feelings that come up, helping them with building their capacity, decision making, and ultimately all this work, the topics that I talked about, menstrual cycle awareness, the nervous system regulation work, the pain science work, even the nutrition work that we're doing as well, helps the client to feel agency within themselves and build that new relationship with their menstrual cycle and have more regulation so that healing it can occur without it needing to be forced. And then as a result, these are the lovely gifts that we can offer our clients. So hope, they might heal shame, heal their inner critic. They understand the systems that they're navigating, and it's not just a personal, like an individual experience. They start building supports around their life, maybe asking for accommodations and work, advocating for themselves in the medical system, building more rapport and trust with you. And there's a secure like attachment between you and your client or the people you're working with and you. And yeah, I've seen magical things happen actually. I've seen a lot of people, I don't really advertise this because it's not ethical, but I have had people say, oh, I've come off my antidepressants or, I don't have PMDD anymore, and all these like amazing results that happen when we do this work that's very much focused on the nervous system and their relationship with you and the relationship with themselves. And there's a softening of their system and yeah, and more gentleness with themselves and their cycle. It's amazing to see. Um, so the result is they have direction, clarity, healing, inner peace, good connection with themselves, a feeling of I've got this, like even just for myself, when I was younger, I used to have, before my period would come and when I was on my period, the thoughts I would have would be, I want a hysterectomy. I hate this. This is horrific. And it's so much like suppressed anger and grief, because of lots of different things, but also towards my menstrual cycle. I didn't understand the power of my cycle and how to work with my cycle and how to dignify my experience for myself and how to regulate pain and how to like calm my thoughts down when I was expecting the worst as well, and how to work with my intuition and my sensitivity and all of these things I've learned over time. So there's so much possible for your client. And the thing is, if someone's struggling with their menstrual cycle, their whole life is being held back. Maybe they're not pursuing the career they want, or writing the book, or going on holidays, or getting married or having children, like the things in life that help us to like feel like life, and be excited about life. And when I've seen so many people with cycles and women, when they do this work, they start to get those things into their life, and it's amazing, amazing to see what's possible. When I hear my clients say, "Oh, I booked a holiday," I'm like, "Okay, you're winning." It's very exciting. Like, can I come with you? So
Yeah.
exciting. So, your outcome is then a strong understanding of hormones and the connection between hormones and the nervous system, because there is one that no one's talking about.
Mhm.
Um, Confidence and clarity in how to work in this space and how to integrate it into your existing work. Knowing how to support people with chronic pain, endo, PMDD, PMS, etc. Using that mind-body lens, helping your clients and communities to find ease and peace with their cycle and with their nervous system. A lot of people are living in their defenses, and in their protective responses all the time, but being able to be at ease in themselves is such a gift. Getting clear on your unique path, your unique role, also your unique voice in this work. Understand the industry and the systemics, and work in a space where you're passionate and that you're excited about. And it's such an exciting industry to be in. So some examples of these are graduates from the course. So we've got Paula there on the left. She is bringing this work to schools. She is a school teacher and bringing this into schools. We've got Spandana. She's in India and she's doing women's health coaching in India. Elizabeth she's very interesting. She's working as a coach in the States, in Utah, bringing it to women who have left high demand cults and high demand religion, and supporting menstrual cycle work in that area. And she's also bringing it to young girls. Anna is a yoga teacher and she's doing lots of workshops and integrating it with her yoga practice. Um, we have Elizabeth. She is bringing it into the fitness industry and she's a mindfulness teacher. And then Plone, she's in Spain and she's doing a lot of work bringing it to corporates. And then there's me bringing it to a corporate in Ireland a few years ago. So there's loads of different ways you can bring this work out into the world and different ways to make money and make the work for you and yeah, make it exciting. So, as I mentioned before, the accreditation, which is important. So, this course is accredited by the International Practice of Holistic Medicine, which means that it has gone through a quality assurance process. And then when you get certified, you will be accredited by them with our stamp and their stamp on your cert. Okay. Now, not everyone wants to, or not everyone needs the certificate. Some people just want to do this course for themselves personally, and that's fine. So you don't have to do it. So it is an extra additional thing that you can do. So there's three routes. You can do the course without the accreditation, you can do the course with the accreditation, and then you can do the course where you are accredited and you join the professionals community and then you become a supervised provider. Okay. And so those three routes will make more sense when you're in the program and you don't have to decide now. They're also available if you read the information booklet. I'll send it to you. That you can read more about it there, but I won't bore you with too much of the detail now. But the benefits are something to think about if you do want a course that's accredited. It's just good in terms of your like recognition, your professionalism, the credibility of your work as well, that clients can trust you and that you are, accredited by a reputable school and accrediting body and me, someone who's also in supervision regularly as well. So that's just something to think about. Okay. Um, Loads of testimonials. I'm not going to read them all word for word, but they're just lovely. If you want to go on the website, you can have a look. That's from Caitlin. She's a psychotherapist in Ireland, and she's bringing it into her work with clients because she saw a gap in her training, and her clients were bringing the menstrual cycle in and talking about it, and she didn't feel confident with how to work with that. So She joined us and she trained. Amelia is a trauma-informed supervisor in the UK, and she joined us a couple of years ago. And yeah, it was really important for her as well because she wanted to start working with the perimenopause and working with a trauma-informed approach. Kerry is a counselor specializing in sexual violence in the UK. So I thought that was cool. You know, she recognized the link between sexual violence and the menstrual cycle, and then she joined us. So that was great. And she's actually one of our guest teachers who teach she in the classroom. There's a video of her teaching a class on consent and sexual violence. Not that we have to like work with that issue, but just to have that awareness in our practice if it comes up in conversation. Um, yeah, lots of testimonials. There's Elizabeth there. She is in the US. Rosanna. And if you prefer videos, you can watch videos of people. It's just nice to hear from other women who've done the course and to kind of get a sense of like who they are and why they took the course. And then if you would like to join us, we'd love to have you. All you have to do is fill in the application form and I'll send the link for that, and then select your process group. So there's four different group options and you pick the time that works best for you. Now there is currently, because we're closing the doors next week, one of the groups only has one space left. So just check the times to see which is your preference and then hopefully you'll find a group that works for you. And there's a deposit payment. And then with regards to the payments, there are payment plans and we offer extent. So I think it's pay in full 3-month payment plan and a 10-month payment plan. But if you need longer than a 10-month payment plan, that's no problem. You can just let us know and we can organize that for you. And they're at no extra charge as well. There's no interest on payment plans. And then we onboard you into the classroom and that's it. And then there's limited space, obviously, because I only work with a certain number of people to make it to make it work and to make it a special journey for us all. So the deadline is next Friday, the 26th of June. And that's it. Do you have any questions for me?
No, there was a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of information there, but it's really exciting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But
Great, Anna.
yeah, no, I'll be like I said, I've chatted to my boss and everything. She's all for it. Thinks there's a great gap where we work for it. So
That's so exciting. Yeah, that's really, really exciting, Jenna. I'm so glad that you asked that question and that you thought of it for your work, you know. And
yeah, so I
yeah,
suppose like they say that like when you're dealing with women the whole time and you can see it kind of creeps into conversation maybe and but then it's crazy to think that it's still such a taboo kind of thing, you know. And
crazy.
it's, especially with me as well, having two small girls that are going to be coming into that, I just even for myself to know more about it.
Yeah,
Oh, so then that I can teach my kids, I can teach other women, I can teach, you know, teens. So it's really, really exciting and I can't wait.
yeah. You'd be such a good fit for the course, Jenna. Absolutely. And it is as a mom and having your young girls and then the different clients that come into the space, into your workplace. You know, I'm sure you work with different age groups, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, young and old, yeah.
Yeah, so you could be working with like someone in their 20s and then someone in going through menopause or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing is like you don't have to take a different course for those different things. Like you
Mm,
can read more deeply into those topics, but really the skill set and the tools are the same that you can support those different clients through different stages of their life. And then as you work with different people at different stages, you yourself learn a lot, you know, from seeing what they're going through and what their challenges are.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, but really looking forward to it
Yeah,
now.
it'd be great to have you, Jen. I'm excited.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have one more question. I saw it somewhere on the website, but I didn't see it here. As a topic of something in the syllabus was about a generation, a generational aspect of the menstrual cycle or something like that.
Oh, generational trauma?
That
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
very interested in that.
Yeah, yeah. It is really interesting, Louise, and it's something that I took a course in something called family constellations. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the reason I bring that in, we don't go into it. I'm obviously not a constellations teacher. It's not a constellations course, but it's a lens we bring in the coaching skills piece because what I see is sometimes with not all the time, okay, sometimes when people have a history with chronic pain, there can be entanglements in their ancestral trauma, or sorry, trauma and entanglements in their ancestral lineage. So, for example, I've worked with women who have a lot of loyalty to it's all unconscious, okay, but like loyalty to their ancestors who survived the war, for example. So there can be this kind of guilt that runs through their nervous system that needs to be untangled. Or one client that comes to mind is one of my clients. It's not so much an intergenerational trauma, but it's more like a family system piece. So she came to me because she was struggling with burnout and PMDD. And, we did all the usual things. And then when I was coaching her, because of the way I work, you're picking up on deeper layers, when you're using your intuition and your curiosity to kind of look for clues in their story. And what stood out to me in her story was her relationship with her niece. And then when I asked her more questions about it, it was very interesting. What happened was her niece had lost, I think, her parents when she was very young. So my client became kind of almost like a the sole care provider for her, obviously, which is a wonderful thing to do. And now her niece was older and in her 20s. But what was happening was my client was giving all her free time still to her niece, and she was just completely burnt out. And then there was so much guilt around taking a bit of space, from her other that relationship and other relationships in her life. So yeah, we worked on that, and that helped her to, in a healthy way, create a little bit of spaciousness in that relationship. So that's what I'm really interested in is in terms of the intergenerational stuff and the family systems and other relationships is like how we are attaching to each other and where the loyalties are. And sometimes pain, physical pain, not always, but can be because when we were younger, that was how we got our needs met. And then sometimes that dynamic can kind of play out into adult life. Does that make sense? So
Yes, it does.
yeah, so that's just one piece. It's just one piece of that big pie, and to learn how to recognize that when you think it might be in the room. It's not sometimes something I always ask about, but I always kind of keep an eye out for it in case it is there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a great one. It's a big one. Any other questions?
No, I'm
No?
okay for now anyway.
Okay. Okay, well, so thank you so much for being here with me. It was so
Thank
lovely to
you.
connect with you. And I'll send this out recording to everyone and you'll be in the email and I'll make sure I pop the links in. But I think you have everything. If you have any other questions, you know where I am. And otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. See
Thank you so much.
you ladies.
Thank you.
Bye. Take
Bye.
care.